Again, an official warm welcome to all of you. I'm glad that you joined from all around the world, depending on where you are right now. I wish you good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This right now is the very first CUSP webinar, and basically you're all part of a big experiment since we still have to figure out how we're going to do things on the fly. Right now, this is the first of two time slots that we have today right now for the Eastern Hemisphere, so basically for student chapters in Europe and student chapters in the East and student chapters in Asia. In 10 hours we will have, and in 8 hours we will have another second set of the pretty much the same webinar, so you don't have to attend the second time for student chapters in Europe, which rather get up a bit late, and student chapters in Northern and Southern America. Let me introduce myself. I'm Aurelian Röser. I'm a research assistant PhD student at Freie Universität Berlin in Germany. I'm the student co-host of the SEG Committee on University and Student Programs, and I will be today's host. I will briefly introduce what CUSP actually is, why we installed this webinar series, and what are our plans for you along this webinar series. Basically, I hope that all of you are quite familiar with the Society of Exploration Geophysicists. Just a general slide about the basic core mission of SEG. So we want to connect the world of applied geophysics. And within this structure, SEG has many volunteers who are active on various different orientated committees. And one of these committees is CUSP. What is CUSP? CUSP is the SEG Committee on University and Student Programs. And here you can see our basic structure. So we have a chair who either comes from academia or industry. Currently, this is Jean-Marie Franco, who comes from academia. Then we have a co-chair who fills the gap, which is not taken by the chair, so either industry and academia. And we have a co-chair who's a student. Basically, right now, this is me. And we have our past chair. We have strong ties to the SEG board and SEG staff, and also to the student portfolio volunteer. And our members are active on certain topics. We have members at large who support other members at various topics. We have someone responsible for IGC. This is Anna on the call. We have a close tie to the membership committee. That is Aaron on the call. We have evaluators of all your activity reports, which your student chapters provide annually to the Student Chapter Excellence Program. We support the Challenge Pool, Peter Duncan. We also support the Student Chapter Forum. Now I just want to show a couple of slides, nice photos of what CUSP actually stands for. So we support SEG staff in organizing their student programs, specifically the SEG Chevron Student Leadership Symposium, which is a 2-day workshop on leadership training for SEG student chapter officers. So we will talk about all these programs and deadlines. If the deadlines are actually approaching, then we will have specific webinar to talk about this in detail. Right now, I will just name them. Another SEG student program is the SEG ExxonMobil Student Education Program, which is a 2.5-day workshop on the basics of all exploration-oriented topics. Further, here you see some photos from this year's World Finals of the SEG Challenge Bowl. And if you're somehow familiar with SEG activities, you know Peter Duncan, so he's basically the heart and soul behind the Challenge Bowl. And we do not only have the World Finals, but actually people, SEG student members have to compete to get to these finals at regional preliminary competitions. Further, we support students in organizing their own regional conferences, which are organized for students, by students, and we call these the International Sea of Sciences Student Conference. The first one was organized in Romania in 2010, and since then we had more than 10 IGCs all around the world. Just this year we had one in Sweden, next year we will have 2 in Germany and China. And we will definitely have another specific webinar on this, because this is really a great opportunity for all of you to participate and also to organize. And as I've already mentioned, we support the Student Chapter Excellence Program. We also organize it and basically then evaluate the performance of all student chapters around the world. And depending on how you performed in the last year, you're ranked inactive, base, ridge, or summit, and you see some photos of the winners in recent years, and who came from Germany, from Poland, and from Ukraine, and recently from the University of Oklahoma. The photo you see in the bottom right corner. And this already brings us to our idea that CUSP recently underwent a transition from an advisory committee to an action committee. We decided that we have quite experienced members on the committee, and we could actually use this expertise to not just advise student chapters and support SEG staff, but actually get into more direct collaboration with student chapters, listen to your needs, to your problems, support you in getting better scores in the student chapter excellence program, and just create better opportunities for your members. And right now we have more than 350 roundabout student chapters, SEG student chapters worldwide. Out of these, roughly 240 are active. You see this is still a map from 2 years ago, but more or less it should be the same. So if you cannot find yourself on this map, please send an email with contact updates to the SEG staff. They will put you on this map as well. And our question was, how can we get into more direct communication with student chapters? SEG, and especially the SEG Council, separates the world into 12 districts. We have 4 districts in the United States, and we have 8 districts all around the world. And we asked our members to volunteer to take assignments, become points of contact for these 12 districts. And here you can already see the list. So we found CUSP members who volunteered eagerly to become points of contact for the different SEG districts. And right now we would like to take the opportunity and introduce not just CUSP, but actually these beautiful faces and voices behind the names who have become your points of contact. I would say we just follow the list, and probably the people in the US are still asleep, which is reasonable at this time. So I guess Clark is not on the call. We have to find a new person responsible for the Southwestern United States. Diane and Ben are also not on the call, so they will join the second leg today. If your name comes up, please just speak up. Hima is also not on the call. Maria, are you on the call? No, but I know that Jean-Marie is on the call.
Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Please introduce yourself. You should also pop up with your video just at the top. Here we are.
Okay, so I'm Joan Blanco. I'm the committee chair, and I'm a geophysicist from Venezuela who's currently working in Germany at the Helmholtz Institute for Resource Technology in geophysical exploration for mining.
Thank you very much. So then the third one for Latin America is the guy I've been talking all the time. You know me already. Debbie, are you on the call? No. Then we jump to South and Central Europe. We have Anna on the call.
Hi, my name is Anna, and I'm from Poland. I will be helping the student chapter from South and Central Europe, but I'm also IGST point of contact. So if you have any questions regarding the International Geoscience Student Conference, you can hit me up.
Thank you very much, Anna. Marco, I don't see him on the call. Ellie, Shupam, anybody of you two on the call? Okay, then we jump to Mohammed, Chirag. We know that already from Boris that people currently residing in China have some issues with Zoom. We've heard of this before. We will figure this out to make sure that everybody all around the world can actually attend. And I think the last one on the call might be Aaron. Aaron, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, yes, my name is Aaron Gerard. Some of you maybe have received some emails from me inviting you to this meeting. I'm currently in Colorado at the Colorado School of Mines, but I recently graduated from the University of Western Australia, so I have spent quite some time in the Pacific region, and I am happy to assist with any of the student chapters or faculty advisors who would like to connect better with the SEG through their student chapters or otherwise. So hello, please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have any questions, needs, or would like to run some activities or get access to some of the SEG benefits.
Thank you, Aaron. So you see, we have many volunteers on the committee who are eager to support you. Most of us went through many of the SEG student programs, made some experience, can share actually some best practices and give you specific advice how you prepare for application deadlines, how you prepare for specific programs, how you can strengthen the numbers of members in your student chapters and just support you. So please contact your points of contact, talk to them. They will forward your problems and concerns to the committee. We will make sure that we address this in time and improve the situation for all of you. This brings us to why we're all here today, the CUSP webinar series.
One second. Boris
yes,
here.
Yes, please.
I just want to say that since both members' Pacific contacts are no longer based in the Pacific, maybe we need a contact from the Pacific.
Aaron?
Yeah, hello, Boris. This is Aaron. I just want to say that it's definitely something that we've tried to take into consideration. That was not the case when this was originally proposed. However, we'd love to have someone who is currently in the Pacific region to join us on the committee and to assist in reaching out. So it sounds like you might know somebody who is in that position. So please feel free to reach out and we'll talk about that offline.
Oh, well, we have a curtain student, SEG chapter president attending the meeting, but we have to go back to our members and ask what they think before we make that sort of
yeah, for sure.
over there. Yeah,
I'd be happy to help you with that.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
And CUSP is always looking for volunteers who want to support the committee. So we're quite international, even though we have some gaps in the world where it's rather difficult to find people. But we're really international, and we have members both coming from industry experts, professors, but also students. So we have those three pillars and make sure that all three pillars are well represented on all parts of the world. So if you want to, if you have some experience as a student or interest in supporting SEG student members, please also reach out to your points of contact and indicate that you want to become a volunteer on CUSP. So we have opportunities each year, since there's also some flow. Some people decide they cannot longer support the committee because there's some time issues, then new people come in. So please indicate this interest. Any additional questions at this point of time? If that is not the case, then let's talk about why we're here today, our CUSP webinar series. So in addition to having our points of contact and getting direct communication with you via email or Skype, or as you prefer, we wanted to create a regular series of webinars where CUSP members and student chapters, affected advisors, and officers I'm going to mute yourself, thank you, could come together and talk about interesting topics for SEG student members. We want to have this regular, and have a mix of technical talks, really related topics by invited speakers, but basically you have digital and also honorary and distinguished lectures for this. We don't want to get into competition with these SEG programs, but provide special, additional, interesting topics for students. We will give you opportunities to present your best practices from field camps, from outreach projects, how you increase the number of your members. Just provide us with any input that you have that you want to share with us, student chapters all around the world. When application deadlines for student programs such as the SAS, SEP evolve, we will talk about this in a couple of minutes. Scholarships, travel grants, or any opportunities to get some money, get some funding for travel from SEG come up. We will talk about this and also how you prepare well for these opportunities. As I already mentioned, if you have any projects, any questions about projects. We will have specific webinars about field camps, outreach, how you prepare your annual report, and also about special events if there are any meetings coming up. Most students don't know that actually SEG encourages students to submit abstracts to the annual meeting. They get actually funding to travel to the annual meeting if you don't get funding from universities. And we will have a specific webinar on International Geosciences student conferences. And bottom line is that we will always do questions and answers. This we will do at the end today. If you have any general questions for your student chapters, which might be interesting for others to hear, we will try to answer these. If we are not successful in answering them directly, we will think about them and come back to you in a couple of days. We really rely on your input, your feedback. This is a two-way street, and we will provide you with opportunities we consider interesting for you. But basically, this whole CUSP webinar series will be a project of both CUSP and student chapters. So for our second CUSP webinar, which we've planned for early mid-December, we plan to have a panel discussion on the future of applied geophysics. So you might know that the industry and geophysics in general are currently in somewhat of a crisis. Some programs all around the world are closing because universities don't find enough students anymore interested in applied geophysics. And we want to talk about this topic and actually show that there are still many opportunities. We will do this with expert views from industry, from academia, also from recruiting and students. This is our proposal for the second webinar. Right at this time, we would like to listen to you if you have any other specific ideas, whether you like this proposal, whether you don't like this proposal. So please, if you have any ideas, introduce yourself. You can unmute yourself and just share your opinion on this. Don't be afraid. So we can hear you. Could you please speak up? Okay. Anybody?
Here, global porosity.
Hey, can you hear me?
Artifacts, because right now you have kind of you do the artifact, you multiply all on top of that. Right?
Yeah, I'm sorry, we can currently hear like
as long as we understand the impact of each parameter.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's a global one here. Yeah. Let's do this. Yeah, this is more.
Can you hear me?
More logical.
So I'm going to. Okay, Roman is muted right now. We can hear somebody. So someone was trying to say something. If not,
Hello.
yes.
Roman here speaking.
Hi, Roman.
So I'm from Ukraine and from Kiev chapter, and I would really like to ask you to have, if we can have a webinar regarding field camps before the deadline for the field camp.
Yeah, well,
if it is possible.
Look, it's up to you. If you want to multiply for all well, I don't care. If you want to make a correction specifically for this preparation, I just put it as an example. This is.
Okay, I'm sorry, someone was, I think, speaking about something different. Roman, yes, we definitely plan to have a webinar on field camps. I think the deadline, application for deadlines is, application deadline for field camps is the 1st of February. So most likely we will have the webinar or in specific about field camps in January. So this is our plan. So I know we have some people on the call who have some experience with field camps, and we will again probably show some best practices for field camps, show some examples to give you ideas. Muted. So this is our plan. Sounds good?
So
Yeah, thanks a lot.
It's not.
So I unmuted you.
Can you open the
Yeah. I'm all good.
notebook?
Thanks a lot. Thanks for the answer.
Okay,
The
great.
one you're running usually.
Any more questions or input? So if you don't have any specific ideas right now, we will send around a Google Doc, or if you have any then ideas coming up in the next couple of days, please reach out to your points of contact. They will forward this information to the committee, and then we will provide, we will make sure that your input is heard and we provide interesting webinars for you. And then you will also hear about the second CUSP webinar with this panel discussion in a couple of days, maybe in 2 weeks from us. Okay, let's jump to the next point, deadlines and events. This is important. In just 3 days, you might have seen the advertisements on Facebook and social media. We will have the application deadline for SAG Evolve 2020. Is anybody on the call who has participated in Evolve and would like to talk about this? Unfortunately not. So please, if you haven't heard of Evolve, check the SAG website, sag.org/evolve. This is highly interesting for you. So you need a team and support from faculty, and basically then can partake in this interesting event for SAG student chapters to get basic understanding of the principles of exploration in the industry, and also support from Henny Burden and the best 10, I think, groups who participate in the online part of Evolve will get travel grants to attend the finals at the SAG annual meeting. And the second event, which we'll have next week, is the first SAG Virtual Student Conference. Actually, this is a project initiated by student members of the Europe Regional Advisory Committee, but we've already heard that other regional advisory committees around the world would like to use this opportunity for their regions as well. So the basic concept is to provide an additional opportunity for SAG student members and emerging professionals, apart from actually having to travel to the meeting or some other SAG-related conference around the world, but to present their latest research, to train the presentation skills and get some feedback on both the presentation skills and data research from emerging professionals and other student members. We will have the first event next week. This is especially more or less for students in Europe who are going to present. We will have 8 interesting presentations on various topics from geophysics, seismic processing, inversion, travel time tomography, ray tracing, seismic interpretation, also some non-seismic stuff. And especially interesting also for me is a talk about buried elephants in UK, so forensic geophysics. If you're not fast enough to copy the link right now, we will send around the program to all of you today or tomorrow. And this kind of concludes the official part of today's webinar, so quite ahead of time. And now we have some more time to answer your questions if you have anything specific. And also, if you don't have a specific question, it would be interesting to have the student chapters on the call to introduce yourself. So we see several of you on the call, but we don't really know you, and it would be great to get to know you better. So please unmute yourself, introduce yourself, and ask the question or introduce yourself. Any break? Yeah. Unfortunately, your connection is rather poor, so we can barely understand you. If you have a specific question, you can also. If you have a question, you can just, yeah, please type in your introduction or question into the chat. We will read this. So let me have a look at the list. I see someone from the SEG ITERA student chapter. Would you like to introduce yourself? You're going to unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you, sir. My name Benjamin Elilaski from SEG ITERA student chapter in Lampung, Indonesia, and it's a new experience for me and my friend. And in this moment, I want to ask you how to yeah I didn't know about this event, but you can share to my friend and me how to get to join and what the big impact to us.
Thanks for having me on the call. So when you talk about event, do you mean today's webinar or general opportunities for SEG student chapters? So you should have received an email, I think, from Aaron, maybe from
Yeah. Could you repeat, please, sir?
You said that you were not really familiar with the event. You have received an email from Aaron, and I mean, this is the first webinar that we have in our webinar series. So you're all part of this big experiment. But okay, you're basically familiar with opportunities for SEG student chapters, right?
Okay, yes. Yes, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. And see. Okay.
Anybody else? Green, your connection is for the pool. I think this is everybody on the call, right? So if my colleague at the other room who doesn't want to speak, but this is fine. I think then we have, oh, Jean-Marie. Yeah. Boris, please.
Boris Guric, I'm a faculty advisor for the Curtin University in Perth, and trying to understand what is going on, what the plans are. And we've been inactive for a while, but now I think it's the active chapter. So hopefully this will work out. Partsa is who attempted to contact, attending as a student president, but I don't know what's happening with his microphone or something. Yeah. And I'm currently in China, and I think this is also a little bit of a concern because you will use Zoom, which doesn't work in China, and you will use Google Docs, which don't work in China. It's probably as the biggest geophysical community, or bigger than the rest of the world combined. So how you reach out, you have to think about it.
Thank you for this input. I mean, yeah, China is certainly a big market also for student chapters, since there's so many new student chapters approaching, and we know that next year they will have an IGC over there, and it's quite exciting, but we have to make sure that we actually reach all students and faculty advisors in China, that they at least get the message and that we then get some feedback from them, how to reach them properly and how they can benefit from all of this.
I should add that I was a SEG honorary lecturer earlier this year and traveled many cities in China, and they all have vibrant SEG student chapters eager to be involved. A large student chapter is probably bigger than the entire Asia Pacific. One chapter would be.
Yeah. So if one CUSP member who's originally from Nigeria, but right now is a PhD student in China, and I think we closely collaborate with him on this topic to find out what the issues are and how we can overcome this. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for being on the call. I know that for many faculty advisors, being active for the student chapter is quite difficult because they're so busy. Therefore, we especially appreciate to have you on the call today. Since we pretty much covered everybody, Jean-Marie, would you like to pose a final statement?
Yeah, sure. Well, this is, as Aurelian said, the first webinar, the first of a webinar series from CUSP, and we would like this experience to be successful. And the way to achieve that is that you propagate this information to your other officers, other chapters that you're in touch, and the students that belong to your chapters. We can touch as diverse topics as you'd like, technical regarding to applications, SDG programs, etc. So that this could be your webinar series, and we can be the link and give you the tools to take a better advantage of being an officer of your student chapter or being a student for student chapters from SDG. So I would just invite you to, of course, attend and propagate this information and take advantage of all the benefits that a student should get from SDG. And we're here to help you succeed on that. And thank you for coming, of course.
Yeah, thank you very much. So we keep in touch. We will send you more emails about the program today, about the next webinar, and please reach out to us. We're there for you. With this, I wish you a good day, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Have a great time. Bye-bye.